Now, those are some very bold words to state because do you understand how bad you got to be to have the worst roster in the nation? There's over 150 teams. I just don't agree with it. And guess what, guys? It doesn't end there. Guess who responded to this? The man, the myth, the legend himself, Coach Primetime, Deion Sanders. Well, this is probably arguably one of the worst takes I've ever seen, or at least I've seen all throughout this offseason. You'll see what I'm talking about in just a second, and while I'm thinking about it, the Coach Primetime show is about to be on full display this Saturday, and I cannot wait. As much as I want to see my team play, as much as I want to see Georgia, the little bro Ohio State play, all these big-time blue blood programs play, one of the teams, if not the team I'm looking forward to play the most, or looking forward to watch play the most, yeah, that's a better way to say it, my bad, is Colorado, the Buffaloes. Who would have ever thought in a million years those words would have came out of my mouth? Not me. I, Matt B. Great, am excited to watch a Colorado football game. It's, surreal. I'm going to say this again. Surreal that those words are even coming out of my mouth, considering they went 1-11 last year. And while I'm thinking about it, you know what? We did a Florida and Utah preview video. If y'all want to see a Colorado and TCU preview video tomorrow night or tomorrow afternoon, whenever, let's see if we can get this video to, since it is going to be tomorrow, let's say 500 likes. 500 likes and I'll do my preview for the TCU Colorado game. Because I do think that game is that important to make its own separate video because there's a lot to talk about and a lot to preview and a lot to go over. I could sit up here for the next 45 minutes and tell you how excited I am to see Colorado play on Saturday, but I think you get the point. I don't want to just sit up here and ramble and say this or say that. Well, let's just see how they do Saturday. And you already know, oh yeah, by the way, if you have been watching the videos, I told you guys, and this holds true. If Colorado upsets TCU, I'll shave my head bald. Don't care. So as soon as that game is over on Saturday at about 2:30, I'm going to be posting my live reaction. Most of y'all know we do the live reactions in the man cave, so just be on the lookout for that video. But the reason I've gathered all of you here today, and by the way, we're not doing no intro, none of that, is because what has happened recently. And I want to give a major shout out to Cade on Instagram. He is the person who tagged me in this. He's the person who sent me this. I haven't seen it anywhere else, and I really don't know why I haven't seen it, because I think this is a big deal. Well, it's not really a big deal. I shouldn't have said that, but it's definitely worth talking about. So major shout out to Cade. Thank you for sending me this. And per usual, if you guys ever want me to talk about something or you think it's video worthy, just tag it to me on Instagram or Twitter. Anyways, though, here's what Cade tagged me in last night, and just take a look at this. So Tom Luganbill, for those of y'all who don't know, been working for ESPN a long time. He's big in the college football world. Here's what he had to say. He was talking about the UMass game, and somehow, someway, he got into the topic of Colorado and said this, and no, this isn't made up, this is true. He stated this, quote unquote, "You thought UMass was the worst roster in college football? It may be Colorado's." No, that isn't some taken out of context quote. You heard it correctly. He stated word for word that Colorado may be the worst roster, or they may have the worst roster in all of college football. Now, I gotta be 100% honest with you. When I first read this, I was like, what? Does he even believe that? And after I watched the interview where he said that, and I'm not even gonna show you the interview because it's really not important. Yeah, I think he did believe it. Now, I don't know if he hasn't been keeping up with Colorado. I don't know if he's just saying this to get clicks and views. I don't know why he said this. But here's what I will tell you. I think this is one of the stupidest things anybody said about this Colorado football team, and he's just 100% wrong. I get it. Colorado went 1-11 last year. But you do understand Deion Sanders brought in something like 60 to 70 new guys. And I do want to give Tom Luganbill some credit here because a lot of people are throwing him at the fire. He did state that Shedeur Sanders is a good quarterback, and also Travis Hunter and the other cornerback are really good as well. But outside of that, no, he completely just threw Colorado under the bus and said they had the worst roster in the country. Now, those are some very bold words to state because do you understand how bad you got to be to have the worst roster in the nation? There's over 150 teams. He didn't say one of the worst rosters. He said the worst roster. Look, here's all I'm going to say about this. I'm a man, Tom Luganbill's a man, and we can agree to disagree. I don't have to sit up here and call him a flat-out idiot. I don't have to sit up here and say this guy's delusional. We can just be men about this and go our separate ways. I think that's the best way to handle this. I think it's an idiotic take, but I'm not going to call Tom Luganbill an idiot if that makes sense. I just don't agree with it. And guess what, guys? It doesn't end there. Guess who responded to this? The man, the myth, the legend himself, Coach Prime Time, Deion Sanders. He replied to this in the comments with the eye emojis and said, "Wow, have you been here to see any of the talent live?" And I just love this response from Deion Sanders because it doesn't come off cocky. He didn't say, "Oh, we're going to show you. We're going to prove to you." No. He just simply asked him, "Hey, well, have you been here to see it live?" Because that's a fair point. How can you even state this if you haven't been to the practices? How can you even state this if you haven't been keeping up with Colorado? So I'm going to ask you guys, let me know in the comment section. What do y'all think about this? I'll tell you this much, and I think Deion Sanders, he knows this, but he's not going to say it. Does Colorado even have a really good roster? No. How many college football teams are there? 160? I'd say out of those 160 something, whatever the exact number is, they have a maybe top 70 roster. I think that's fair. Now, me personally, I'd put them around somewhere 70 to 100. I think that's fair. That's around average. But to sit up here and say they have one of the worst rosters, yeah, I can't get behind that. Check out this comment, though, from Hot Rod 03. This is not going to be a good year for Colorado. He's not hating. He's telling the truth. Colorado doesn't have the size up front on both sides of the ball to compete with the Power Fives yet. Coach Prime has athletes, but they have to be able to compete in the trenches in order for those guys to make a difference. That is one of your very few intellectual comments you're ever going to see on Instagram or Twitter. This person, HotRod0303, whatever you want to say it, is 100% right. And it's the point I've been making all throughout the offseason. Yes, Colorado, you get your flashy wide receivers, you got your flashy cornerbacks, you got a great or / good quarterback, you got your running backs, you got this, you got that, you got all the fancy players. But what about the trenches? Have they improved the trenches from last year? Yes, but they were awful last year. Just because you've improved them doesn't mean you're going to be able to compete with the Power Fives. You see what I'm saying? It's like if you get an F on the test and you get a D- on the next one. Yeah, you did better, but it's still bad. My biggest concern with Colorado, and the main reason I have them going 5-7, is because of the front seven on the offense and defense side of the ball. I don't think they can compete with your USCs and Oregons just quite yet. And it has nothing to do with the flashy and skilled players, but it has everything to do with the trenches. It starts in the trenches. If you played football, if you keep up with football, if you know anything about football, you know this. I'm going to read off one more comment because I also think this one's pretty good. I'm not holding Colorado to the fire this year. All I want to see is if they're building on something that's going in the right direction. Colorado sucked before Prime got there, and I only expect them to suck a little bit less this year. And yes. That's what I've harped on all throughout the offseason. The goal in year one, which is this year, is to just not suck as much as you did last year. And I get it, Colorado fans, you're not going to like that, but that is the goal. That is the standard. Let's just not suck this year. Let's just win a few games. Because then at that point in time, you can build on something. Continuing along here right after a year, Prime isn't taking over a once great program that fell off recently. He is pretty much building everything from scratch, so I'm just going to say it will take at least 3 seasons before he turns everything around, and I don't see nothing wrong with that. And I don't either. Told you guys all throughout the offseason, this is a long-term rebuild. You need to look at this like, okay, we want to be competing for, I guess where are they going now? Yeah, the Big 12. We want to be competing for Big 12 championships in 3, 4, 5, 6 years. I've stated in year one this year, I got them going 5-7. And then in year two, I think your new goal should be to go 7-5, 8-4. In year three, you should aim to go 9-3. In year four, maybe 10-2. Whether you want to believe it or not, this is up to you. But to build a great, I'm not talking about a good, but to build a great college football program, it takes time. Look at Dabo Swinney at Clemson, look at Kirby Smart at Georgia, and look at Nick Saban at Alabama. Dabo Swinney wasn't competing for championships in his first couple of years at Clemson, and it was the same thing for Kirby Smart at Georgia. They got slapped around a little bit, but guess what? By year 3, year 4, year 5, they started competing for those championships. It takes time, but getting back here on with this quote, I guess he's just talking about he's concerned about the front seven, but I can't even rationalize this. I can't. In my humble opinion, I think Colorado's got a pretty decent roster. I'm curious. Let me know in the comment section. What do you think about their roster? You think they're good? You think they're average? You think they're slightly below average? Where would you put them? I'm going to say on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd say they're about a 4, maybe a 5. They're average. I mean this when I say it. I'm tired of talking about ifs, ands, or buts. I just want to see some football. Because once we start watching games, there's no more ifs, ands, or buts. You are what you are. We're going to see what Colorado's made out of on Saturday. Yet again, going to remind you, if you want to see a preview tomorrow for the game on Saturday, let's get this video to 500 likes. Nice little simple, easy like goal, because normally we do like, what, 1,500, 2,000? We can hit 500 in no time at all. But yeah, let me know your thoughts down below. But